right, good morning and happy Tuesday. We are continuing our review with fractions with looking at fractions on the number line. I know you guys are going to be so excited about this because you loved it so much the first time. So here we're going kind of and taking a step back to reintroducing where we started with this. So we see our number line goes from 0 to 3. Because if we don't pay attention to the whole numbers, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to say, ooh, this number line is in sixths. Whole number, whole number, whole number, another whole number. And notice that between every whole number, there are only 2 spaces, not 6 spaces, only 2. Which is why this is divided in half. So think about it. Here we have 0 halves, 1 half. When we're at 1, we know we have 2 halves, because here we just keep counting like life is normal. We go 1, 2, 3. We know everything is going to be over 2. If you want to use these to be your fraction line right here, go for it. That's what I'm going to do, because it was really hard to squeeze my fraction in right there. So 1, 2, 3, and then we count like life is normal. 4, that's not a 4, that wishes it was a 4. 4, 5, 6. You guys are like, wow, that was easy. But if we don't pay attention to our whole numbers, we would have labeled this in sixths instead of in halves. You must check your whole numbers and then see how much space is between them. Don't assume that this is 0 and this is 1. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume this is 0, but sometimes we've had number lines that start at 1 or 2. Always look hard at your whole numbers. Okay, use this number line to solve problems 1 through 4. Here are problems 1 through 4, right in this space. So I'm going to find my whole numbers. I'm circling them because it makes me pay more attention to them. That is the only reason why I'm doing that. Remember in class we would always put like a box or something around them? That's the same thing here. We're putting a box around them. Now I'm going to count the blank spaces in between the holes. Don't go from 0 to 2. Go from 0 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is divided into fourths. We'll check the other side just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and when we have a whole, we know that's one of those special fractions where the denominator and numerator are the same. It would be 4/4. I'm going to write that in just because it's missing and it's going to help me keep count. That's the fraction that would be directly under 1. 5/4. Remember, count like normal. Don't do anything fancy. Our fourths didn't change, so it's 4 all the way down for the denominator. We're only counting the numerators. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7/4. So that means that 2 would be 8/4. I'm just going to go ahead and label it. I don't know if the question is going to ask me that, but in class we always label all the way down. It's okay to skip 0 because we know that's 0/4. When you have 0, you have nothing. But I do like to make sure that all the numbers are fully labeled. All right. How many equal parts are between 0 and 1? Hey, we already did that. It's 4. How many equal parts are between 1 and 2? We did that too. It's 4. What fraction does each part show? 1/4. Write fractions to label the marks. Put a check mark next to that because I did that. Moving on to our next page. Let's take a look. Use this number line to solve problems 5 through 7. Again, I'm going to start by labeling. I'm going to find my whole numbers and I'm going to circle them. They've flipped. Our whole numbers are on the bottom instead of the top, but that doesn't matter. We've seen this before. We're excellent at this. We have 1, 2, we have 3 spaces. So 1/3, 2/3. I'm going to have to come up here for my 3/3. 3/3. 4/3. Oh, my 5 is not fitting. 5/3. And this would be 6/3. All right, A is 1/3. B is 4/3. And C is 5/3. Pay attention to the whole numbers. That is going to be the only error that I'm expecting to see on this because you guys are great at labeling. But if you don't look at the whole numbers, you are going to end up with some very funky looking fractions because it's not going to match the way they've split the parts. Always look between 0 and 1 or 1 and 2. Don't look from 0 all the way to the end. Look between the whole numbers. All right. Last one. So this starts at 0 and goes to 1. Here we can go and label, or excuse me, not label, we will label things. We can go and count every single blank space because they fall between 0 and 1. If this was 1 and this was 2, we could not do that. We only count the spaces between 0 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have 8. All right, I'm going to put a little note over here for myself that I have 8ths because unfortunately I'm afraid that if I try to label this, this is going to get really, really messy. Now, this might be one where I want to go and maybe make like my own number line down here where I have more space because this number line is like twice as big. And I'm going to label it down here because that way I can actually read what I'm doing. All right, I have halves, I have fourths, split your fourths in half again, and now there are slightly crooked eighths. But it's okay. We know we don't have to be perfect. All right, 0, 1. All right, 1/8. D is on the first tick mark. And E is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the, oh, let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And F is on 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, 7, 8. All right, right before the last. The tick mark right before we got to 1. So that's F. 1/8, 2/8. You do not have to redraw your number line. You can go and you can just count. I am redrawing my number line so that people can see what it looks like with everything labeled. If you are comfortable just counting your tick marks and keeping up with everything, go for it. It is not a requirement to redraw the number line. I don't like to not label everything for you guys. I always like you to have an example where everything is labeled, and that is why I have done this. All right, D is on 1/8. E is on 4/8. Woohoo! That is an interesting looking 8. And F is on 7/8. Now, if I am not drawing this number line and I was just counting, I would have to do it out loud. I'd go 0/8, 1/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. But I wanted us to have a written reference for how I got there as well. All right, I'll see you guys in our class meeting today.